A young janitor, his shirt soaked with sweat, kneels beside an unconscious woman sprawled on the ground. It's Evelyn Brooks, America's youngest self-made billionaire, worth over $3.2 billion. Her hand trembles as she clutches his sleeve. Please, she whispers weakly. Don't let them take it. The janitor looks around, the glass walls are shattered, papers scattered, and distant footsteps echo through the hall. Ma'am, stay with me, he pleads. You're going to be all right. The security cameras flicker, then cut to black. Dramatic pause. But what no one knew was that this same billionaire had humiliated him just 3 days ago. Backhand index pointing. Right before we dive in, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the Kindness Chronicles, because today's story will prove, sometimes the people we overlook are the ones who hold the power to save us. 3 days earlier. The Brooks Innovations Tower glimmered against the San Francisco skyline, 30 floors of glass, steel, and cold perfection. Evelyn Brooks, only 34, ran her empire with military precision. Her employees feared her brilliance almost as much as her temper. Down on the 28th floor, Jake Miller, a 29-year-old janitor with tired eyes and calloused hands, pushed his mop across the spotless marble tiles. He was invisible here, just another uniform in the background. Until Evelyn stormed out of her office, heels striking like gunshots. Who left this spill near the elevator? She barked. Jake froze. It was his area. Sorry, ma'am. I was just. Sorry doesn't fix lawsuits, she snapped. If a client slipped here, it would cost me millions. Clean it up faster next time, or don't come back. Her assistant, Natalie, smirked behind her tablet. Jake just nodded quietly and bent back to his work. But behind his calm eyes, something flickered, sadness, and a secret. Because Jake wasn't just a janitor. He had once been a senior engineer at a tech startup, until a car crash took his wife and nearly destroyed his life. With hospital bills and depression swallowing him whole, he lost everything. Cleaning floors was the only job he could keep after rehab. But fate was not done with him. Later that night, Evelyn's office lights still burned long after everyone left. She was reviewing a file marked Project Helix. It was a secret AI project capable of predicting market movements, worth billions if successful. Only a handful of executives even knew it existed. But something strange began happening. Unauthorized access logs appeared on her servers. Someone was snooping. Who could breach my system? She muttered, scanning lines of code. Suddenly, the system froze, the screen turning red. Helix compromised, system lockdown. Her heart pounded. Only a few people had access. And one of them wasn't supposed to. The next morning, the security director informed her. Someone entered your restricted floor last night at 11:03 p.m. The only active ID at that time was the janitor's. Evelyn's eyes widened. The janitor? Jake Miller? Yes, ma'am. Should we detain him? She folded her arms. No. I'll handle him myself. Moments later, Jake was called to her office. He stood before the glass desk, his mop still in hand, feeling small under her cold gaze. Why were you on my floor last night? She demanded. I wasn't, he said honestly. I clocked out at 10. Her voice sharpened. Then why does your ID show access to restricted systems? I don't know, Jake stammered. Maybe someone cloned my badge. She slammed her hand on the desk. Do I look like I was born yesterday? You had motive, opportunity, what's your game? Jake looked her dead in the eye for the first time. You're wrong about me, Miss Brooks. But someday, you'll wish you hadn't judged me so quickly. Her lips curled. That a threat? No, ma'am, he said softly. A promise. That night, as rain battered the city, Evelyn's servers were hit again, but this time, everything was stolen: Project Helix, company financials, even personal data. And the hack was traced, straight to Jake Miller. Police swarmed the building. Jake was handcuffed right outside the janitor's closet, eyes wide with disbelief. "I didn't do this," he yelled. "Someone set me up." But Evelyn didn't listen. She watched from her office window as they dragged him away. For the first time, she felt something twist in her chest, not anger, but guilt. 2 nights later, Evelyn worked alone in her mansion. The rain outside hadn't stopped. She stared at the empty whiskey glass in her hand when her security system began to beep. Unauthorized access detected, main gate breach. Her cameras flickered. A black SUV had smashed through the front gate. Armed men in masks rushed toward the house. Evelyn's blood ran cold. "Security," she screamed, but no one answered. The line was dead. She ran to her panic room, but before she could lock the door, 2 men grabbed her. One yanked the necklace from her throat. "Where's the drive?" the taller one hissed. "What drive?" she cried. "The Helix backup. We know you keep it offline." That's when she realized, the hackers weren't after her company's data. They wanted the physical prototype, hidden in her vault. They dragged her into her office, tossing her to the floor. As she crawled toward her desk, one of the men raised his gun. Suddenly, the mansion lights went out. Total darkness. Then, footsteps. Slow, steady. A shadow emerged in the doorway holding a flashlight. It was Jake. The men turned their guns toward him. "You picked the wrong night to clean, buddy," one sneered. But Jake moved faster than anyone expected. He ducked behind the marble counter, disarmed one man with a precise strike, and sent the gun sliding across the floor. Evelyn watched in shock. How do you know how to fight like that?" Jake didn't answer. He just said, "Stay down." Moments later, both intruders were down, one unconscious, one fleeing into the storm. Jake turned to her, breathing heavily. "Are you hurt?" She shook her head, still trembling. Why would you come back? After what I did?" He looked at her for a long second. "Because someone had to." Police sirens wailed in the distance. Evelyn sat in silence, processing everything. "I thought you were behind the hack," she whispered. "I know," Jake said quietly. "But I wasn't. I was trying to stop it." He explained everything. After being arrested, he'd broken into an old contacts database to trace the real hacker, a former Brooks Innovations executive named Miles Connor, who had framed Jake to cover his tracks. Jake found out Miles was planning to attack Evelyn's house to steal the Helix prototype, and came back to stop him. Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. I don't know what to say." Jake smiled faintly. "How about, thank you?" She laughed weakly through her tears. "Thank you. And I'm sorry, Jake. I treated you like nothing." He helped her to her feet. Sometimes the people at the bottom see things the top never will. Cinematic fade out. Days later, the news broke: Billionaire's janitor saves her life, exposes corporate sabotage. Jake's name spread across the country. Brooks Innovations reinstated him, not as janitor, but as lead systems engineer. And Evelyn Brooks? She made a promise she never broke again: to treat everyone, from the CEO to the cleaner, with respect. At the company's next press conference, she said before the cameras, "The man I ignored became the man who saved me." Never underestimate the quiet ones, they might be the angels in disguise. Jake stood beside her, smiling modestly, a new ID badge on his chest.